Hey y'all. So we are going to go ahead and review for your midterm that some of you are taking Monday and some of you are taking Tuesday and some of you are taking Wednesday and Thursday. So basically your midterm that's next week. Okay, sorry that I couldn't be on Google Meets because I had a funeral to go to. But if you have any questions, you can let me know. I'll be at school till about 1 o'clock, so I could always help you and jump on Google Meets. All right, so the first few that are easy ones, there's how many easy ones? There's 10 easy ones. Y'all, I think there's 10 easy ones, right? Let me double check. Yeah, there's 10 easy ones. So I'm going to have you guys do those 10 easy ones on your own once we're done with this, and then you'll turn it in and we'll check it. Remember, everything we do together, you need to make sure that you do as well, because you're going to turn that in for a grade. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for you. You get to use your Desmos calculator on your midterm, so that's also really awesome. So keep that in mind. So we're going to start on the medium, and then we'll go to the back, and then you'll have time on your own to finish it, and you'll turn in everything we've done together and everything you did on your own. So question number 11 starts on the medium type of question. So if we look, it says simplify the expression. Now, how am I going to simplify the expression? So remember, you always get rid of parentheses if you can, and then you combine like terms. And it looks like I have parentheses. So I need to distribute. Well, what is in front of the parentheses for me to distribute? In front of the parentheses is the -5. So I'm going to keep this 2. I can't do anything with that right now. I'm going to distribute the -5 to every single thing in parentheses. So -5 times x is -5x. -5 times 2 is -10. And now if I go ahead, remember, I distribute, and then I see if I can combine like terms. I actually do have more like terms in this expression, the constant numbers, 2 and -10. So when they're on the same side, you do what it says. 2 minus 10 is -8. And then the -5x has nothing to go with it. Now ask yourself this, can you finish this? Can you subtract these? No, I cannot. They are not like terms, so I am done. That is my expression simplified. All right, let's look at the equation that I have in number 12. So it looks to me like I have a k, and I think that's what they want me to solve for. I don't have any like terms on the left. I don't have any like terms on the right. So I somehow think about what type of k is that? Well, that's a -15k, so I can't touch that until I get rid of that plus 30. If I want to bring plus 30 to the other side, think about how do you get rid of plus 30? What's the opposite of plus 30? That would be minus 30. These 30s cancel to 0 on the left side, and I'm left with -15k equals -30 minus 30. Always check yourself on your calculator. -30 minus 30 is -60. And then in order to finish getting k by itself, I got to get rid of that -15. When they're next to each other, that's multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So k equals negative divided by negative would be a positive, and I'm pretty sure that would be +4. Remember, you could always check yourself really quick. So what I mean check yourself, you could plug your k value in, which would be right here, and see if it equals. So see if this side is going to equal what this side does. So 30 minus 60, because this multiplies to 60. 30 minus 60 is -30. Does -30 equal -30? It does. So when in doubt, check yourself. And literally, once I plugged the 4 in for the k, I could have put this part in the calculator to make sure it matched what the other side did. Guys, you don't always have to do it by hand, but once you put it down on paper to see what you need to put in your calculator, that's what's important. All right, an inequality. So remember, the important thing about an inequality is if you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, your sign gets flipped around. So we gotta keep that in mind, okay? All right, so if we look here, I got 5m minus 4. There's no like terms, no parentheses on the left side. Let's look at the right side. I got 2m plus 11. There's no parentheses, there's no like terms. But I do have variables on both sides. Remember, when you have variables on both sides, you bring the smaller to the larger. That's a 5m, that's a 2m. Which one's smaller? Well, that 2m is smaller. So how are you going to bring the 2m to the other side? It's a positive 2m, so the opposite is minus. So let's subtract 2m. And I'm left with 3m minus 4. Bring down your inequality sign. Don't change it to an equals. So 3m minus 4 is less than 11. I'm trying to solve for m. So I can't touch that 3m until I get rid of minus 4. So add 4. So 3m is less than 15. Now finish getting m by itself. So divide by 3. I am not dividing by a negative number, so my sign stays the same. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So my answer is m has to be less than 5. So what are some options for m? If m is less than 5, it could be 4, it could be 3, it could be 2, it could be 1, it could be 0, it could be -1, -2, -3, -4, anything less than 5. So a bunch of those would work. Let me just make sure. Yes, I'm recording. All right, y'all, let's look at number 14. So this, I don't even know what I did there. All right, so number 14 says solve the inequality. This inequality looks like it's a little more in depth than the previous one we just did. So let's look at the left-hand side. -2n minus 40. There's no parentheses, there's no like terms, so I'm just going to leave it. If I look at this side, though, the right side, looks like I have parentheses, and then I may have like terms. So get rid of parentheses, distribute. So leave the left side. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times positive 1n is positive 5n. And then leave that 7n on the end. I still don't have any like terms on the left side, so just keep it. It looks like on the right side, these are my like terms. They're on the same side. Do what it says. 5n plus 7 is 12n. So 30 plus 12n. All right, now it looks to me like I got variables on both sides. Here's a -2n and a positive 12n. Smaller to larger just makes it easier for you. So it looks like -2 is smaller, so the opposite of -2 is +2. So add that to both sides. So -40 is less than 30 plus 14n. I can't touch 14n until I get rid of the 30, so minus the 30. So what is that? -40 minus 30, -70. Always check yourself on your calculator to make sure. And then 14n. And if I divide both sides by 14, remember, I'm not dividing by a negative, so my sign stays the same. What's -70 divided by 14? So remember, a negative divided by a positive is a negative, and that would be 5. Now, be careful. This is not written correctly. You usually should have it written with your variable first. So if I need my variable first and my number last, the mouth of my inequality is open towards the variable. So you make sure when you rewrite it, you keep it open towards the variable. Okay, so down here it says -5 is less than n. Up here, it's the same thing. You're just reading it a little bit better so you understand. This says n is greater than -5. So remember, if n is greater than -5, what are some possibilities for n? Could be -4, could be -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Think about greater than -5. -6 would not work because -6 is smaller. So these are some possibilities for n. There's a lot more, just some to think about. All right, look at number 15. So number 15 looks to me like that is, whoops, that is a literal equation. You have numerous variables there. Don't let these scare you. Just got to think about them a little bit. I want to solve for b. Remember, when you have a fraction like this, you cannot touch the numerator until you get rid of the denominator. How are you going to get rid of the denominator? When it's in the denominator, it's division. What's the opposite of division? Well, that would be multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. These 2's eliminate, and you're left with x plus b. A times 2 is just 2a. If you're trying to get b by itself, how are you going to get rid of the x? Subtract the x. Can you subtract these? Are they like terms? No, they are not. So rewrite it. Whether you put -x plus 2a, or if you put 2a minus x, those are the same exact thing. It doesn't matter which way you put it. Biggest thing to remember here is when it's a fraction like this, you can't touch that numerator until you get rid of that denominator. Remember, with literal equations, you're never going to get like b equals 2. Because literal equations, you have more than one variable, so you can't actually get just one solid number for that variable. So keep that in mind. All right, solve the equation. So I got an equation here. Let's see what I got going on. All right, so I don't have any parentheses on the left. Do I have any like terms on the left-hand side? Looks like I do. I got 7x minus 2x. Remember, we're on this when they're on the same side, do what it says. 7 minus 2 would be 5x. And leave your plus 9. On the right side, I don't have any parentheses, but do I have any like terms? It looks like I do have like terms. This -6 plus 15. Remember, when they're like terms and they're on the same side, do what it says. So -6 plus 15 would be positive 9. Now it looks to me like I have variables on both sides. Remember, usually I bring the smaller variable to the larger variable, right? Which one's smaller? Ooh, if they're the same, what ends up happening? 5x minus 5x cancels to 0, and 0 plus 9 is just 9. 5x minus 5x cancels to 0, and 0 plus 9 is 9. Remember, if your variables disappear, you either get a true or a false statement. That's true. So your answer is all real numbers or infinite solutions, whatever way you want to look at that. Think about, what if we were in this situation, it was false? Let's just say we were left with 9 equals 10. Well, that's not true. It's false. So remember, it's no solution. Okay? So just a little bit to remember. All right, so I think that takes us through to the back ones, which section 3 on the back, which we have some multi-select questions. Remember, those mean that there could be more than one answer. Remember, sometimes Khan Academy is really the only one that deals with this, but when it says multi-response, you're going to get at least 2 answers. Khan Academy differs on that, which is kind of annoying. That's the only one where it says choose all that apply, and it could only be 1. But for regular testing that you deal with, it's going to be 2 or more. So select all the numbers which would be in the solution set for this inequality. So if I look at this inequality here, I'm trying to get y by itself. So I somehow have to get rid of that -2. Well, think about this. That's a fraction. -2 is in the denominator. When it's in the denominator, that's division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So multiply both sides by -2. Y'all, think about this. These cancel and you're left with y. I multiply both sides of an inequality by a negative. That inequality sign gets flipped. -5 times -2 is +10. So right here it says y is less than 10. So what numbers would work? If y is less than 10, would 10 work? No, because 10 is not less than 10. So you can always check also. 10 is not less than 10. Nope, not going to work. Would 9 work? Is 9 less than 10? Yes, that would work. What about -10? Is -10 less than 10? Yes, that would work. What about 11? Is 11 less than 10? Nope, not going to work. What about 8? Is 8 less than 10? Yep. What about -14? Is -14 less than 10? It is. So those 4 options would satisfy my inequality. All right, so this one says, which of the following equations have the correct solution? Select all that apply. So it gives me an equation and then gives me a solution. I want to see, so I actually have to really go about this by solving every single one of them. So if I try this first one, 2x plus 5 equals 19. Does x equal 7? Well, let's check. I can't touch 2x till I get rid of plus 5, so -5. So 2x equals 14, and if I divide by 2, x equals 7. So that one works. Check that next one. 3 plus x plus 2 minus x, is that going to equal 16? Well, it looks to me like on the left-hand side, like I have some like terms. So 3 plus 2 is 5. 1x minus 1x, wouldn't that just be 0? So I'm left with 5 equals 16, which is not true. My variable disappeared. It's not true, so it would be no solution. So are they right here? They're absolutely not. Another way to approach this type of question, even in the first one, another way to approach it would be to, and this would actually be smart for some of y'all to do if you'd rather do it this way. Another way to approach it would be take this, plug it in wherever I see x. So 3 plus x, which is 3, plus 2 minus x, which is 3. Is that going to equal 16? And then I literally could put this in my calculator and figure out what it is. Or you could do it in your head. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. And again, you have exactly what I had over there. So you can either solve it yourself or go the route of I'm going to plug the variable in and I'm going to see if it works using my calculator. As long as you put down on paper first what you're plugging in. That's the important part. Don't just jump to your calculator right away. All right? All right. Let's look at that next question. X plus 2 divided by 5 equals 2. Is x going to equal 8? All right, remember, this is a fraction, so I cannot touch the numerator until I get rid of the denominator. So multiply both sides by 5 to get rid of the denominator. So x plus 2 equals 10. If I minus 2, x equals 8. So that works. I'm going to try the next one. And what I'm going to do on the next one is I'm just going to take what x equals and I'm going to plug it in. So I'll show you a little bit of both ways, okay? All right, so now if I were you, once I plug in what they think x equals, you could just put this in the calculator. I'm going to do it in my head. So I got multiplication and subtraction. I would do multiplication first. So 2 times 7 is 14. 14 minus 8, is that 6? Yep, so 6 equals 6. So this is going to work. That's solved correctly. All right, last one for this is 14 equals 1/3 x plus 5. All right, it doesn't look to me like I have any parentheses or any like terms on either side. So my goal is to try to solve for x. I can't touch that x until I get rid of plus 5. So how do I get rid of plus 5? I minus 5. So I have 14. Oh, lordy. 14 minus 9 is not 14. What is 14 minus 9? Or minus 5? That would be 9. So 9 equals 1/3 x. All right, how are you going to get x by itself? Remember, when you have a fraction times a variable, if you multiply both sides by the reciprocal of that fraction, it gets rid of the fraction. What's the reciprocal of 1/3? Remember, reciprocal means you flip the numerator and denominator. So that would be 3/1. So this, any fraction times its reciprocal simplifies to 1, and 1 times x is x. And then 3 times 9, sorry, all my light went out. 3 times 9 is 27. So x equals 27, which they told me x equals 18. So I guess that is not going to work. All right, this one's a really good question. It says, if 5 minus 2 times 3x minus 4 equals 25, then what's this going to equal? You got to know what x is first. So you have to use this first one to actually solve for x. Okay, so I have parentheses. In front of parentheses is -2. Distribute the -2. So leave this 5. I can't do anything with that yet. -2 times 3x is -6x. -2 times -4 is +8. Looks to me like on the left side, I still have some like terms. So do what it says. 5 plus 8 is 13. And then 13 minus 6x equals 25. I can't touch -6x until I get rid of 13. So subtract 13. So -6x equals 12. To finish getting x by itself, divide by -6. So x equals -2. Now I know what x equals. I can go ahead and figure this out. Okay, so 6 minus 3/2 times x. Well, isn't x -2? All right, so would I do the subtraction first or the multiplication? It looks like I would do this multiplication. I put that over 1. What does that give me? -6 divided by 2, which is -3. So that whole thing simplifies to -3. And then you're left with 6 minus -3. Well, a double negative becomes a positive, so it's really 6 plus 3, which equals 9. So my answer would be 9. Your answer is not -2. This -2 helped you finish getting your answer. So be cautious in these. You always have to solve the first one in order to be able to finish getting the actual answer that they want. All right, 20. Select all numbers that would be in the solution for the inequality. So we kind of saw this one before. I'm going to bring it down here. So 2n minus 9 is greater than or equal to 5n plus 4. I don't have any parentheses or like terms on either side, so I'm good to start. It does look like, though, I have variables on both sides. Remember, if you have variables on both sides, you want to bring smaller to larger. So I'm going to subtract the 2n since that's smaller. So -9 is greater than or equal to 3n plus 4. Can't touch 3n until I get rid of plus 4, so -4. So what? -13 is greater than or equal to 3n. Am I right on that? That looks kind of funky. -9 minus 4, yeah, is negative 13. All right, so I'm going to bring this up here to finish. Divide both sides by 3. Now, keep in mind, I'm not dividing by a negative, so my inequality sign does not change. Negative 13 divided by 3, it doesn't seem as though that was going to work out evenly, so it's like negative 4.3. Now, be careful with this. This is not written correctly. Your variable should always be first. The mouth of my inequality is open towards my number. So when I rewrite it correctly, I keep it open towards my number. So my answer is n is less than or equal to negative 4.3. Select all numbers that would apply. Well, let's look at a number line really quick because I want you guys to think about this. All right, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So negative 4.3 is about right here, right? Remember, that gets a filled in circle, and my arrow goes this way. So what numbers would work? Is negative 7 going to satisfy that? Yep. Negative 6 would satisfy it. Negative 5 would. Negative 4. Well, look. This is over. It's not touching negative 4. So no, 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 and no. So only those last 3. All right, last one. I want you to, which shows the correct procedure for solving. So if we look at this, well, let's think about, I'm going to bring it to the side. Let's think about what we would do first, okay? So it looks like you might have some like terms on this side. So 3x minus 1x is 2x, and there's nothing to go with that 7. So let's leave that. What about the right side? 2x minus 1x is 1x, and leave the plus 6. All right, so that would be our first step. Well, let's check. So look at A. What did A do? So the first line is the original, and then they went to the second line. It looks like in A, they kind of just showed these two things together right next to each other, as well as the like terms on this side right next to each other. I think that might have just helped them visualize. And then the next step is they got the same thing as us. So far, A looks good. I'm not going to cross A off just yet. B, yeah, I'm not really sure what B did. I got no clue. But it doesn't look like it's on the right track of me. Let's look at C. C kind of looks like it did the same thing as A. It kind of looks like it put the like terms together, and then, yep, so far it's kind of on the same track as me, so I'm not going to cross C off. Let's look at D. D looks like it's on the same track also. It put like terms together, and then it showed you the like terms it combined. So yeah, A, C, and D are on the same track, okay? Now from here, think about what you would do. I have variables on both sides. I'd bring this smaller to larger, so I'd subtract 1x. And then what are you left with? You're left with x plus 7 is greater than 6. So let's see what they did. So they went from this line to this line. They subtracted an x here and subtracted an x here. They just show it a little bit different. They show it left to right, whereas we show it up and down. But do they have the next line correctly? It looks like they do. So I'm not going to cross that off yet. In option C, from here to here, they should be subtracting x on both sides. This side, they're adding x, and this side, they're subtracting x. So they're almost correct, but this side, the adding x makes it wrong, so C is out of there. Now D, from here to here, they should be subtracting x. They're subtracting an x, they're subtracting an x. This part looks the same as mine, so far D is good as well. Okay. All right, so we're left with 2 options. Now we have x. How am I going to get rid of plus 7? I would minus 7. So x is greater than 6 minus 7 is negative 1. All right, so let's check A. They should be subtracting 7. They're subtracting 7 here. They're subtracting 7 here. They have the same answer as we do. Well, let's go check D and see. They're subtracting 7 here. Look at this side. Are they subtracting 7? It looks like they kind of switched it around and put subtracting 6. So they don't have the same answer. So D is out of there. So A is our option. So be very cautious on those, especially when you're kind of analyzing someone else's work. In this situation, it's like we were analyzing 4 different sets of works. Always try it on the side yourself and look at your work compared to their work. All right, so I did all of the medium and all of the multi-response with you. So you're going to go back to the front page and you're going to do all the easy ones, which is numbers 1 through 10. You're going to do those easy ones on your own. If you feel like you need more room, and I didn't tell you this when I started doing this with you, but some of those medium and some of those multi-response ones, we needed more room. So hopefully you were smart enough to grab some scrap paper and do it on there. For any of these easy ones, if you need more room, grab scrap paper, because I'm not going to just accept answers. So if I just see answers there and I don't see any work that's organized and neat and I can tell what number's what, I'm not going to accept it. Okay, so please be smart about that. If you need to grab scrap paper, write number 1, show your work, put your answer, and then when you take pictures, you'll take pictures of the front and the back of this worksheet, as well as any scrap paper that you may have used. All right, email me if you have any questions.